Hi, welcome back to the channel, guys. On today's video, we're gonna do a very special one. We're gonna teach you guys how to drive a manual car, any vehicle that has a manual transmission. What I have here, 2008 Infiniti G37 Coupe. It's a 6-speed manual, and it applies to pretty much, like I said, every car that has a manual transmission. Okay, now when it comes to driving a manual transmission, it's not something that you're gonna learn from one day to another. It's gonna take weeks, months, and it could take maybe up to a year, depend on your learning skills. But in order for you to become better at it, you have to put a lot of time into it because it's gonna take a lot of practice. And the best way to learn is from experience. Now, if you are a beginner, I would highly recommend doing with somebody that has experience so they can teach you all the basics, because the last thing you don't want to do is don't have enough experience and you go on the road and the next thing you know you cause an accident. Now it could be way worse. So find the parking lot, be with somebody that has experience. I've been doing this for a long time, that can teach you all the basics, how to do pretty much everything. Spend a lot of time in the parking lot, especially where there's no people around, no cars. And then as you get comfortable by doing that, then you can start going on the road and doing all the good stuff. Pretty much apply all the stuff that you train and put it on the. All right, so the first thing when you get into a manual car, couple things you're gonna notice is you're gonna have um, three pedals, because it's a manual. You're gonna have the third pedal, which is gonna be the clutch. That's what you're gonna be using to put the car in motion. So you're gonna have an automatic, you're only gonna have the gas and the brake. But in a manual car, you're gonna have the third pedal, which is gonna be your new best friend. I know in the beginning it's gonna be weird because you're not used to, but it's something that you're gonna have to to get familiar with. And then another thing, you're gonna have your um, shifter, and then you're gonna have your parking brake. So right now the car is not on, so we are in a dead stop, and the parking brake is applied so the car won't roll. Okay, get into a manual vehicle. The first thing you're gonna need to know is the gear pattern. Whatever vehicle you get into, as you know, it's a manual gearbox. You want to find out how many speed is the vehicle. Um, on most cases, you're gonna find the gear pattern on top of the shift knob. But in this case, because I have a modified shift knob, um, it doesn't have one. Even on the stock shift knob, it doesn't have one. So on my car, my gear pattern is gonna be right here. First, let's talk about what is the purpose of the clutch pedal. Now, the clutch pedal is in an automatic. It's gonna do everything for you. You hold the brake, you put the car in reverse, in neutral, in drive. It shifts by itself. But now, in a manual transmission, you're gonna have to do the work yourself. So this is where the clutch pedal comes handy. If I have to start the car, the clutch has to go in, and then I can start the car. If I have to shift gear, the clutch has to go in, and then I have to shift whatever gear I'm going to. If I'm coming to a complete stop, the brake come first, the clutch go in all the way. Now, it's something that you're gonna have to get used to. And another thing is, every time when you're driving, your feet always gotta be off the clutch. This is why you have the rest pedal right here on the side. But every time when you put in the car in motion, the clutch has to be engaged. Every time when you come to a complete stop, the clutch has to be engaged. Every time when you downshifting and you rev matching, the clutch has to be engaged. So now we're gonna show Now I'm gonna show you guys how to start a manual vehicle. You know, when you go in automatic, you hold the brake, if it's a push start, you just push and the car will start. If you have a key, you put the key in, the car will start. Now, in a manual vehicle, it's different. In manual car, in order for you to start the car, you have to put your foot on the brake, how I'm doing right now. You have to hold the brake. You have to hold the clutch all the way to the floor, and then you can start the car. But let's say like if I only hold the brake and I try to start the car, it only gonna go to the on position. As you can see on the dash, I only have my lights and I'm on position, but if I try to start, it won't. But now, when I go down here and I hold the brake all the way in, now the car starts. Now, a couple things you want to pay attention to every time when you start a manual vehicle. Now, let's go over the shift pattern for a minute, and then we'll come back to this section about after you start the car, what to do and what to look for. Now, every car that you get into is going to be different. It's going to be either a 5 speed, a 6 speed. 99% of the time, old cars is 5 speed manual transmission. Uh, the other 1% is like the newest car, like that came, like not too long ago. So they are 6 speed manual. Like I said, most of the cars you're gonna find the shift pattern on top of your shift knob, but like on this case, on the Infiniti, the shift pattern is gonna be right here. So couple things first. Every time when you get into a manual car, you got to make sure that you are in a neutral position. Like I said, especially after you start the car. So, in order to go to neutral, it's already like every time when you move the stick shift left to right, you know you are in a neutral position. So that means the car is not gonna go anywhere because you don't have any gear engaged. Now, left to right, always remember you are in neutral. Now, every time when you're going up and down, that's when you know that the car is in gear. But let's go over the shift pattern real quick. So as you can see right here on the side, try to focus here. As you can see right here on the side, you have neutral, left to right. If you shift the knob all the way to the left and you go straight up, that's going to be your first gear. If you come all the way down, that's going to be your second gear. If you move the shift knob straight to neutral position, right in the middle, and you go all the way up, that's going to be your third gear. If you come all the way down, that's going to be your fourth gear. If you go back to neutral position and you move the shifter all the way to the right and you go straight up, that's going to be your fifth gear. And then if you come all the way down, that's going to be your sixth gear. So let's go over one more time. Neutral position, always remember left to right. Every time when the car is not in motion, you are in a complete stop, like driving in traffic, you always gonna be in neutral. Now, in order to put it in gear, you press the clutch all the way in. First gear, that's gonna be every time when you have to take off, that's the gear that you're gonna be using. So, neutral, left to right, all the way to the left, up, that's gonna be your first gear. Straight down, that's going to be your second gear. Back to neutral position all the way up, that's going to be your third gear. Come straight down, that's going to be your fourth gear. Go back to neutral position all the way to the right, up, that's going to be your fifth gear. Come straight down, that's going to be your sixth gear. Now, how do I go on reverse? Now, every car is different. Some cars, but like I said, by looking at the shift pattern, you know you know where the reverse is located. Now, the old cars, if it, let's say like if it was a 5 speed, it would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5, and then the reverse would be down where the sixth gear is. Now some car is different. Some cars sometimes reverse might be where like my first gear is, and then your first gear is gonna be down here. So it's gonna be 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. In this case, with the Infinities, your reverse is gonna be all the way to the right side. So in order to put this car on reverse, you have to push the shift knob down, and then you have to go all the way to the right, straight down. That's where your reverse is gonna be at. So let's go back when I mentioned about how to start the car and what to look for. Now, in order to start the car, remember, always remember, hold the brake, hold the clutch all the way to the floor, start the car. But now, the car is started. Every time when you start the car, never disengage the clutch pedal, never disengage the brake pedal unless you do one thing, and that's to double check, make sure the car is in neutral. Because right now, I'm not in neutral, I'm in gear, I'm still holding my feet on the brake and the clutch. But now let's say I start the car and I'm between two cars. So let's say like I have one car behind, like in front of me right here, and now let's say I have another car right on my, like, right behind like my bumper. Now because I'm in reverse, and let's say like if I had another car behind me and I would get off the brake pedal and the clutch, this is what would happen. So as I mentioned, let's say I start the car, I'm in reverse, or I could be in gear. Um, let's do in gear. So let's say, like, let me put in first gear. So let's say like, I'm in gear, and I start the car, and I don't check that it's on neutral. Let's say like I have a car literally like parked right in front of me, and then I start the car, I don't check, make sure it's in neutral, and I get off the brake pedal and the clutch, and this is what it does. You see how the car kind of stall out and they jerk up front? If I had a car in front of me and I do that, I would literally like crash into somebody. And it will apply the same thing for the reverse. Let's say like, I start the car, I don't check the make sure it's in neutral or the parking brake is applied, and I have somebody like literally like behind me, and I get off the clutch and the brake, and I would hit somebody like behind me. So a quick recap on this is every time when you start the car, so remember, brake in, clutch in, you start the car. If it's in gear, always remember to put the car in neutral position, so like that it doesn't go anywhere. And then you want to make sure the parking brake is applied, so like that all the wheels are locked and the car won't be moving anywhere. So always remember, every time when you start the car, neutral, parking brake applied, and then because it's a neutral, I can get off the brake and the clutch, and then we are in a neutral position. The car is not gonna go anywhere. Now, when it comes to learning manual and as a beginner, one of the hardest part is gonna be messing with the first gear. Now, the first gear is gonna be where, like I said, everyone is gonna have a struggle. Now, as you master how to mess with the clutch, do that combination of clutch, clutch out and throttle in, when you master that technique pretty well, everything is easy. All you gotta do is just hit the gas to a certain RPM and put the clutch in, shift, get off the clutch, get back on the throttle. I shift from first to second, now I'm going to second to third. Now it's clutch in, go to third, get off the clutch, get back on the throttle. So you're doing that combination, and you try to like keep everything like nice and neat, if you know what. So let's go over the gear pattern real quick, and then we're gonna go over how to put the car in motion. So remember, clutch, brake in, clutch in, all the way to the left, up, first gear, straight down, second gear, go back to neutral position, up, that's third gear, come straight down, that's fourth gear, all the way to the right, up, that's fifth gear, come all the way straight down, that is gonna be your sixth gear. Now, in order to do the opposite, which is going to be the downshift, it's going to be sixth gear. If you go straight up, that's going to be fifth gear. If we come all the way to the neutral position, we come straight down, we're going to go back to fourth. And if you go to neutral position and we go all the way back up top, we're going to go back to the third gear. We come back to neutral position, all the way to the left down, that's going to be second gear. Now let's do this one more time. Remember, every time when you got to shift, the clutch has to be engaged. So go over the shift pattern again. It's going to be neutral. If I got to put the car in first gear, all the way to the left, up, first gear, come straight down, second gear, go back to neutral position, all the way up, that's going to be your third gear. Come all the way down, that's going to be fourth. Go back to neutral position, go all the way to the right and up, that's going to be your fifth gear. And you come all the way down, you're going to be in sixth gear. Now, in order to drop gear, it's going to be the opposite. So I'm in sixth, I go all the way up, that's fifth. I come to neutral position, all the way down, that's going to be four. I go all the way up again, that's going to be third. And come to neutral position again, all the way to the left, straight down, that's going to be third. And then all the way up top, that's first. And then go back to neutral position. Now, because you are so used to driving automatic, you're not used to do this. You're definitely gonna forget. You're gonna forget sometimes the gear pattern. So that's why I said it's something that you are gonna have to get used to. Now, let's go over downshift for a minute. You know, as you know, when you're driving, you're putting the car in motion. You shift in first, second, third, fourth, fifth, and sixth. So let's say you are in a sixth gear. You're driving on the highway. You're doing about 60 miles an hour, and now you have to drop a gear. Now, this is one of the common issues that I see a lot of people make when they drive like a manual transmission. When they drive, when they have to drop gear, they don't rev match. So basically, the purpose of rev matching is you matching your RPM, which is gonna be right here. So you want to match your RPM with your speedometer. So like I mentioned before, so let's say you are in a highway, you're in sixth gear, you're driving and you're doing about 60, so let's say 60 miles an hour, and you have to drop and you have to downshift. So you in sixth gear, you are doing about 65, and let's say you have um your RPM on 4,000, right? Now, what you want to do is, because you're slowing down, you're dropping your RPM, let's say to like 2,000. Now, because you drop in gear and you want to rev match your RPM with your speedometer, what are you going to do is you're going to drop a gear, but you're going to bring your RPM back to 4,000, and then you're going to go to the lowest gear that you're going to. So basically, like, it would look pretty much something like this. So let's say you in sixth gear, like as I mentioned, right? You're doing about 60. Let's say you're doing like about 65, like I said. You have your RPM on 4,000. Now, because you slow down to like 3,000, and you have to bring back your RPM to, to match your speedometer. Let's say like I'm in sixth gear, right? And I have to go back to fifth. So basically, what you do is, because you are in sixth gear and you have to go back to fifth, you're gonna get off the gas. You are going to put the clutch in. As you put the clutch in and you are in neutral position, when you get in neutral position, that's when you give a gas. You bring your RPM back to 4,000, and then you go to a fifth gear. In this video, I'm just kind of going over the basics, how to put the car in motion. But when it comes to downshift and rev match, that might be another video that I'm gonna do separate to kind of like explain better and demonstrate. And that's pretty much so as I mentioned before, first gear is gonna be where everybody's gonna have difficult time. So let's go over um, that real quick. So let's start the car. Remember, brake in, clutch in. start the car. We are in neutral. Okay, so because we're gonna take off, we're gonna hold the brake, only the brake. We're gonna release our parking brake, and we're gonna put the car in first gear. So holding the brake, put the clutch all the way in, go all the way to the left, put it in first. Now, how do I get the car rolling? Now, as a beginner, because I'm holding the brake right now, I'm holding the clutch, I'm in a flat surface. I don't have to hold the brake if I don't want to because the car's not gonna roll. Now, if I start releasing the clutch slowly, I'm gonna hold the brake. Like if I start releasing the clutch slowly, I'm just waiting like until I get to the biting point. Now, like right there, that's where the car wants to roll. Now, if I get off the brake and I still hold the clutch steady what I have, the car wants to roll. As you can see, like it wants to roll. I don't have the clutch disengaged all the way. I'm still holding the clutch just a little bit, not all the way out. And once the car start rolling, you're good. Once the car like start rolling, you can get off the brake, you can get off the clutch, and then you can give a gas. You bring your RPM up. Now you go to the next gear that you want to go to. So let's do this one more time. I hold the brake, I put the clutch all the way in, I put it in first gear, neutral position, all the way to the left, up, I'm in first gear. Now, like I mentioned before, if I'm in a flat surface and I get off the brake, as you can see, the car is rolling just a little bit. Now, if I hold the brake again, it's not gonna roll. Now, let's say I start releasing the clutch very slowly. I'm start releasing the clutch very slowly. On the engine, I can hear that like it wants to like that's the biting point. It wants to disengage. The car wants to roll. Now because like I still have my foot on the clutch, but like I'm holding it where the biting point is. If I get off the brake pedal and I start rolling, I get off the brake pedal and I start releasing the clutch more. You see how the car is rolling, and it's roll, 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 roll. Now I get off the clutch all the way. Now I don't have my feet on the clutch, and the car is rolling. See what I mean? Okay, so the brake is in, the clutch is engaged. I'm gonna put the car in first gear, and remember, now I'm holding the brake, I'm releasing the clutch slowly. I'm releasing slowly. I'm releasing slowly while I'm holding the brake. Now, if I get off the brake and I start releasing the clutch, release, now the car is rolling. I give a gas. See what I mean? And every time when I gotta stop, remember, clutch all the way in, you put your foot on the brake. Let's do this one more time. Brake in, clutch in, first gear, and holding the brake, releasing the clutch slowly. Right there, where I'm holding it, that's where it wants to disengage. Once I start releasing the clutch, the car wants to roll. And then I'm off the clutch all the way, give it throttle. Now, as a beginner, that's how you should start. Now, if you don't want to go that route, the best thing you can do is another method that instead of releasing the clutch slowly until you wait for the clutch to like engage, you can do another method that I'm going to show you right now. So the easiest way not to stall the engine, because when you start out, this is going to be one of the common issues. You're going to stall a lot, and remember, don't get frustrated with yourself because it's something that is going to take time, and you're going to make a couple mistakes. One, you're going to get off the clutch too soon. You're not going to give enough gas, or you're going to give too much gas and you're not going to get off the clutch too soon, and you're going to end up burning your clutch disc. So the best way not to stall your engine is never get off the clutch too soon without given enough throttle. So the way it would work, it would be pretty much like this. So let's say like I'm holding the brake, right? And I have the car in gear. I hold the brake, I put the clutch all the way in. What I'm gonna do is, instead of, releasing the clutch slowly until it starts biting, you're gonna do the opposite. So basically what you're gonna do is you're gonna hold the clutch, you're gonna hold the brake. If you're in a flat surface, you can get off the brake, you're gonna give a gas, and you're gonna bring your RPM just around 2000. You're gonna keep it there, and then you're gonna release the clutch slowly. Once the car is rolling, you can get off the clutch all the way. So I'll repeat that again. You're gonna hold the brake, you're gonna hold the clutch. If you're in a flat surface, you can get off the brake. You're gonna bring your RPM up to like 2000, and then you're gonna get off the clutch pedal slowly while still giving a gas. Once the car is rolling, you can get off the clutch pedal all the way. So pretty much, it's gonna look like this. So if you never want to stall on a manual transmission, this is the best method that you can do to never stall out. Put the clutch in, you hold the brake, you put the car in first gear, and you're gonna give a gas, and then you're gonna get off the clutch. You are going to raise the RPM around 2000, keep it there, and then you're gonna get off the clutch slowly. I got the clutch all the way in. The car is in first gear. The clutch is still, I'm holding the clutch all the way to the floor. I'm gonna bring my RPM up to 2000, and then I'm gonna get off the clutch. And as the car is rolling, I get off the clutch all the way. Okay, so now that we have a little knowledge on how to put the car in motion, the best way not to stall out, now let's go over shifting the rest of the gears. So let's say you kind of get in, the basics on, pretty much like how to put the car in motion without any issues. Now we're gonna go over shifting the gears. So I'm gonna try to show you guys now how it looks when you're shifting. Couple things first. Each gear you can do a certain speed. So for example, first gear you could do 0 to like 10 miles an hour, 15. Second gear you can do like 15 to like 20, 30. Third gear you can do 30 to 40. Fourth gear you can do 40 to 60, and so on. When you're driving in the city, the most gear you're gonna be shifting is either from first to second, and that's the only gear you're gonna be on, or you're gonna shift from second to third. You're only gonna shift in the city if the speed limit is 25. You're only gonna shift first, second, and third. That's it. Now, if you're gonna, as you approach a different road where the speed limit is like 35, 40, now you can go up to third and fourth. But like in the city, 99% of the time you're only going to be shifting from first to second or second to third. So we are on this back road right here. We're gonna go over the couple things that we applied on the technique that I was showing you guys before. So the first one is gonna be leaving, like, left your foot off the clutch slowly as the transmission start, like, engaging. So I'm holding the brake all the way in. I got my parking brake, disengaged. I'm gonna put my feet all the way on the clutch. I'm gonna put the car in first gear, and I'm gonna start releasing my foot off the clutch slowly and the brake, and the car is rolling. When the car start rolling, now you can get off the clutch all the way. I'm gonna give a throttle only. So I'm on 2500 RPM right now. As you can hear on the engine, is asking for shifting. So I'm gonna put the clutch all the way in. I'm gonna move all the way down, and that is going to be second gear. So I'm in second gear. I'm doing about 20 miles an hour, and I'm gonna turn around right here, and then I'm gonna go back. So we're gonna do the process again. Brake pedal in, clutch engage, first gear. I'm gonna easy off the clutch, easy off the clutch, easy off the clutch. Once the car is rolling, I'm taking my foot off the brake, and then I'm gonna bring my RPM up. I'm gonna put the clutch all the way to the floor. I'm gonna shift to second gear. I'm in second gear. I'm doing about 30 miles an hour. I'm in second gear. I wanted to shift again. I'm gonna bring my RPM up. I'm gonna put the clutch all the way in. I'm gonna go to the third gear, and I'm driving normal. Now, remember, every time when I have to come to a complete stop, I put the clutch all the way in, I put the brake, and remember, if I'm gonna stop, I put the car in neutral, and I get off the brake pedal. I get off the clutch pedal, I hold the brake so the car doesn't roll. If I'm gonna park, I gotta make sure my parking brake is engaged. Now I can get off the brake pedal. All the wheels are locked. The car's not gonna roll anywhere. If I'm getting back on the car and I have to drive, now everything is the opposite. I'm gonna put my feet on the brake. I'm gonna disengage the parking brake so my wheels can move. If I'm gonna take off, remember, I'm gonna put the brake, I'm gonna put my feet on the brake. I'm gonna hold the clutch all the way in. I'm gonna put the car in first gear. I'm gonna release the clutch pedal slowly. I'm gonna release, 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 release. Once you start engaging, I get off the clutch. Now the car is rolling. I get back on the throttle. If I have to shift, bring my RPM up, put the clutch all the way in, go to second gear. If I'm gonna shift one more gear, I'm gonna bring the RPM up, I'm gonna put the clutch in, get off the throttle, shift, go on the next gear, driving. If I gotta slow down, I can just use my brake pedal as an automatic, like I'm driving automatic. If I come to a complete stop, I put the clutch all the way in, I hold the brake, put the car in neutral. Like I said, same scenario. If I'm gonna stop, apply my parking brake, turn off the car. If I get back on the car because I'm gonna start driving, that's pretty much the same scenario. But now let's say I'm driving, I'm gonna shift 3 gears and I have to downshift. So let's say I gotta downshift from third to second. We're gonna demonstrate how that would look. I'm gonna put the car in gear, I'm gonna shift 3 gears. 1, 2, 3. So I'm on third gear right now. Let's say I have to downshift from third to second and I have to rev match. Um, I'm gonna put the car in neutral, rev my RPM, and go to second. You saw how I kind of like boom. That's like I'm rev matching my RPM with my engine speed. Cause every time when you downshift and you don't rev match, this is what would happen to the car. So let's say I'm in third gear, I'm driving, right? I'm in third gear. I'm driving, but like look, every time when I downshift and I don't rev match, how the car pulls back. You saw that? You saw how the car just kind of like, that's because I'm downshifting, but like I didn't um match my RPM with my speedometer. That's why it did that. But now let's go back and let's do another one. But we're gonna like rev match it. You could see the difference. Okay, like I'm driving here, I'm gonna like shift second gear, third gear. Okay, I'm in third gear. Let's say I have to downshift, right? But now look what happened when I rev match. You see the car barely did the jerk because like I'm matching my RPM with my speedometer. But like every time when I drive and like and I don't downshift, look what it does. You see? Okay, let's see. Well, that will conclude my video.